So back to finishing up talking about my medical records. I was going to finish reading this statement from Dr. Bernard Lim out in Springfield, Illinois, the electrophysiologist that diagnosed me with vasovagal syncope, which was technically near syncope since 2.5 years later I've yet to pass out. Alright, I'm just gonna start reading here, around where I left off. It says, I have given him education about adequate hydration and recommended that he drink 86-ounce glasses of water per day. If he should drink caffeinated soda or coffee, he should increase the fluid intake by 2 cups for every cup of caffeinated coffee or soda that he drinks. I advise him to stay off alcohol and strong liquor, as this can lead to dehydration, which can exacerbate his problem. I strongly cautioned him against recreational drug use such as marijuana, as this can exacerbate the problem and also cause problems with arrhythmias, which I suspect we may be seeing here. Interesting about him bringing that up. I always wondered about it, but I had that really bad experience with marijuana that was likely laced with God knows what. In I believe late 2010, and then or late January 2010, and it wasn't until late May, so 5 months later, that I all of a sudden started having all these health symptoms. So I wonder if it's like one of those House MD episodes where they show like drugs or something like sitting in like one of your body systems, like your organs, like lying dormant, and then they like get released into your bloodstream like all at once from like an injury or just process, and then they start wreaking havoc on your body. So who knows? Says in addition, I demonstrated training him to stand with his head against the wall at an angle of 70 degrees. The reason he instructed me to do this was because I literally was having trouble standing for like 2 minutes, let alone like making it out of my front door to check my mail or take a shower. So it was like almost learning how to like walk again, like a baby, like practice standing. And it goes on to say, I mentioned that this will stress the autonomic nervous system and get it to be accustomed to the upright posture, and that adherence to this training activity over the next 3 to 4 months would significantly alleviate his problem. It's just weird that all of a sudden you start having these symptoms, but yet, and you were used to doing all kinds of standing and activities on top of that, yet his solution is to go back to practice standing and then work your way up from there. Just, I don't know, just doesn't make sense. Like, to fix a problem, you think you need to find the underlying cause, not just practice standing, unless your body eventually can heal itself, which I guess is true. Supposedly with vasovagal syncope, it hits people in their mid-20s, and by the time they hit their 30s, it's their body's adjusted. What happens is your nervous system in certain people, and it only happens in 3% of men in the entire population, documented. they get vasovagal syncope because of their nervous system not growing as fast as the rest of their body. And I mean, I stopped, growing. I hit 6'8", right after year after high school, first year of college. So it's not like I was growing in that aspect when I was in my mid-20s. But I'll continue. I've also advised him that if he should feel the onset of lightheadedness and dizziness, because he has the 1 minute of warning before he actually becomes presyncopal, he should immediately adopt a horizontal position. I've only actually done this a couple of times in the last 2.5 years, and it was typically like in the privacy of my own home. If I'm like out in the grocery store and like I get that like minor warning sign, I don't know if I'll ever do it, or I don't know if I'll ever actually like drop to the ground. And I couldn't imagine a lifestyle where you had to do that all the time. Every time you go to the grocery store, people would be freaking out and calling 911 for you. I mentioned that doing this will immediately abort the attack in the majority of cases. I advise him that in the vast majority of cases, over 90%, that strict compliance and adherence to the above measures would successfully treat the vasovagal syncope spells, and he will not have further episodes. In the minority of patients, about 10%, we may need to use other medications to support the blood volume, like mitogen or fluticortisone. I advise the patient not to drive in the meantime. I will see him back in about 1 month's time for follow-up. If at that time he has not had any further presyncopal spells, he will be okay to drive then. He asked about whether he would be okay to come into work as a grocery stalker, and I told him that this would be appropriate, which is kind of funny because he's telling me I need to practice just standing, leaning against a wall, like backwards 70 degrees, but at the same time he's telling me I can do a physical job like grocery stalking. So that was kind of contradictory. Not kind of, it was. And I've been wearing my glasses all day since the last video. I headed out to the library, so I can't take them off without it taking a while for my eyes to readjust. So he prescribed me the compression stockings, which I had to go to a specialty store, like pharmacies and like Walmart, Kroger carry compression stockings, but they didn't carry this stronger, like tighter version, and they're knee-high. I tried them out though for a while, and they kept cutting off the circulation of my feet, so I was almost falling over because of that. So maybe a less tighter pair would have helped better, but same argument there, trying to find the underlying cause and get rid of that, not results out in wearing stockings. Let's see. I wonder if this is this was prior to that, because dude, check out this coincidence. I forgot about this. Like, it was signed by Bernard Lim on 7/29, but look whose name is right above him, Kimberly Hankins. That was like such a freaky coincidence that I went up to Springfield and the nurse happened to have the same last name as me. I'll probably forget here in a couple minutes as I'm making this video, but I'd be curious to see if we're actually related, which wouldn't be surprising since I have a boatload of Hankins relatives in Illinois. Southern Illinois, but mid-Illinois, it's still likely. this might be a previous statement, yeah, from cardiologist that referred me to him. Falcone. And then, this is something from Las Vegas. The only two places three places. All right, this one is from Sunrise Hospital. Quick side story about this. I just left the one of the offices of the Southern Nevada Adult Mental Health Center. It was within my zip code. And I went across the street to the bus stop bench, and it was like the weirdest thing. This lady showed up to the bench, and she definitely had psychological problems, but just despite that, she started having like a crazy freaky anxiety attack, and I started having an anxiety attack at the same time, and then we both had to call. I called an ambulance for her first, and then I was trying to fight through my symptoms and be strong, and then it was like a pretty hot, dehydrating day, and we weren't in any shade, and so I was ready to pass out on the hot sidewalk, and I got an ambulance for myself, so it was weird. And then the ambulance gave me a choice of what hospital I wanted to go to, since there's a good handful of them within the area of Las Vegas, and I told them I didn't care, just take me to a place that accepted financial aid, because I didn't have Medicaid back then, so I always had to go to places that offered financial aid, and then just tell the truth and claim zero income, and then my bill would be written off. These assholes, one asshole at Sunrise Hospital, how it worked, they just gave me some Ativan and told me to follow up with a regular physician, which usually happens in the emergency room. It was the weirdest hospital I've been to. After they forced you to go down this one hallway when you left the hospital, and in the hallway was these bill collectors. So right after you are done being seen in the emergency room, and I was still waiting for my medication to kick in, and still having a lot of symptoms from anxiety attack, and this freaking asshole lady was might as well have been some cop interrogating me about my finances, and I told her she lied the heck to me, and she said that our hospital doesn't even have financial aid. She's and then she I was saying, was interrogating me. She's like it's impossible. There's no way that you cannot have any income. She's like, this is your address. She started talking about my apartment address. She's like, you have an apartment, obviously you have income, and I started giving, just simply told her the truth, hey, I have an apartment, but that's because I was able to pay my last month's rent, and it's month to month, and I don't have the money for the next month's rent. She just kept calling me a liar, and it was the most ridiculous hospital procedure I've ever been through. Honestly, I had no clue who this lady was, but I just wanted to straight punch her in the face right there. And I got pissed off because I went on their website later and found out that they did have financial aid through a Catholic charity. And she was an asshole and just didn't want to tell me. So yeah, I could have easily sued them for lying to me, but you know, my health problems were so bad, and I was worried about surviving and having a place to stay that I didn't have. You know, I've dealt with trying to sue my ex-girlfriend, her mom in the past, and it was a complicated, long process. And then I found out they didn't even get served, so I didn't want to deal with trying to turn around and sue someone again, anyways. Because as far as I know, it takes you had to put money up front to process to have someone sued, at least get a court date. Alright, on to next video.